Being the first overall pick in the 2020 draft, Anthony Edwards came into the league with a ton of talent, and each year he's been steadily adding more and more to his game. But from what I've seen so far in his 4th NBA season, I think he's easily made his biggest jump as a player this year. First by averaging a career best in pretty much every trackable stat, but also getting the Timberwolves off to a solid 5-2 start. So in this video, we're going to do a deep dive on Ant's game film to see exactly what he's been doing on the court to find success. So like you probably know, Ant is a freak athlete, having this unique blend of being quick, explosive, and having really good body control. Those physical tools alone make Edwards one of, if not the scariest downhill drivers across the league. But Ant is much more than just a highlight reel when attacking the basket, and over the years he's been steadily adding multiple layers to his downhill scoring.
To be more organic. Edwards, hanging, scoring!
Now the first thing we have to look at is Ant's footwork in the paint. When playing in traffic, Edwards has a variety of crafty Euro steps that he loves to use to set up finishing angles. Right here you'll see Ant turn the corner off the screen, and notice how he drives off his left foot and dips his shoulders, selling as if he's about to explode to his right for a layup. And when Ant plants off his right foot, watch how he gets John Collins completely out of his stance, trying to cut off that drive. But this now allows Ant to stride across the paint and give himself a finishing window. And even if Ant doesn't get a perfect angle off these strides, his body control still allows him to find ways to score. Let's look at this play again. You'll see Ant hit another right-left Euro step, but this time the defense does a much better job of staying squared to the ball. However, from this spot, Ant still has the stability to lift off his left foot and muscle up a finish. Now that body control is probably the most important element to Anthony's scoring around the basket, because that allows him to absorb contact on his drives while maintaining his balance. You'll see Ant catch on this play and get into a simple left-hand drive. And from here, notice how this defender is heavily leaning on him, while this off-ball defender also digs down pretty deep and helps side. But watch how Ant's going to explode right through this tight gap and completely shuck off the man guarding him, and he sets up an easy floater off the glass. And that physicality also extends out to the perimeter. Watch Edwards here use his off arm to swipe and pull himself into this gap.
Getting past Fontecchio, drawing contact.
You'll see Ant do the same thing here. Again, watch him swipe with that off arm to create leverage and explode into this drive. Anthony's also had a ton of success attacking early in transition, and he's pretty much impossible to guard when he's able to pick up ahead of steam. You'll see Anthony here going at KCP in semi-transition, and from here Ant does nothing super advanced off the dribble. He's just going to attack to his left and get into KCP's body. Then from here everything comes back to Ant's body control, being able to decelerate and lift up into a balanced finish while the defense stumbles backwards. So another really important factor to Ant's scoring at the rim is actually going to be his outside shooting. So far this year, Edwards is shooting a career best 47% from 3. So he's now a guy that the defense can't afford to leave open, which causes his pickup point to be extended out well beyond the 3. And that in return makes it much easier for Ant to get blow-bys off the dribble. You'll see Edwards here working off this stagger screen, and as he comes off, notice how Jason Tatum is sagged way too far back. From here, Tatum has to respect Anthony's ability to rise up and make this shot, but as he tries to close that space, Ant's already in a wide stance and loaded up for the blow-by. And one super small detail to this move is how Ant drives his right foot back before he explodes, which gives him much more leverage to get a quick burst out of this move. You'll see him do the exact same thing here, where he gets to a left or right between. Then again, notice how that right foot drops back and shoots him downhill. And just a quick side note, these aren't details that players are actively thinking about while playing, but in workouts, these are movements that absolutely get worked on over and over again. So when we extend out and look at Ant's mid-range scoring, this is where I think he's made his biggest statistical improvement. Last year, Edwards shot an unimpressive 38% from the mid-range, but so far this season, that number has risen up to over 52%. Now Ant loves to get into these in-between pull-ups and transition, by simply using that downhill driving threat to push the defense back to then pop these 15-foot pull-ups. Edwards is also really good at using his handle to get the defense skating and create some additional separation into his jumper. This move here is tough, where Edwards in stride gets to an in and out between and gives himself a ton of airspace to comfortably rise up. Now as far as Ant's mid-range scoring in the half court, everything really comes back to his body control. Being able to aggressively attack into open spots, then quickly rise up while the defense is stumbling backwards. On this play, you'll see this big come up and try to meet Ant at the level of the screen. But from here, watch how Edwards is going to skip out to his left to create a clear driving angle. And as he attacks, notice how he gets this big to rotate and completely open up his hips. And when Ant stops on a dime stepping right-left, there is no chance of anybody effectively contesting his shot. So as time keeps going by, Ant's becoming more and more of an efficient 3-level scorer, and that scoring threat in return opens up windows for him to playmake. And this year, I think Edwards is really starting to put everything together with his passing game.
The kick out. Nas Reed is lonely. Knocks down the tray.
First, I think Ant has been much more willing to give up the ball early, just making the simple plays that lead to high quality shots. Take this play for example. You'll see Ant working off the screen, and notice how this defender is sagged down pretty deep in gap. So Ant just makes a standard swing pass that leads to a catch and shoot 3. I also think Ant has been a much quicker decision maker. Watch him here lose Porzingis with a shot fake, and with just one dribble he's already analyzed the entire floor, and he zips a skip pass to the opposite wing for a 3. I also think Ant's made some massive jumps with his passing out of pick and roll, by not only effectively hitting the roller, but also reading the second and third defender on the weak side of the floor. Right here, notice how this weak side defender slides across the paint to provide extra help on Gobert rolling, but Ant's able to read that and laser a skip pass to the opposite corner. Now because Ant has the ability to hit those cross-court skip passes, the weak side defense is now hesitant to provide extra help, which then leads to a lob at the rim. So because the defense is now starting to respect Ant as a passer, he can now operate with much more space, which then feeds into his scoring. On this play, you'll see Edwards put Jamal Murray in jail by using his body to seal him off as he works into the paint. From this spot, it's pretty much him and Gobert playing 2-on-1 against Jokic and drop. And because Ant has the vision to make any of these kickout passes, these 3 off-ball defenders don't want to overcommit to the ball, which then gives Ant the space to work his way down into a finish. And what's also scary is that Edwards is starting to add these subtle change of pace moves into his finishes. Right here, watch Ant just slightly hesitate and pause with the ball, and when he reads these 2 defenders dropping deeper in the paint, Ant's going to explode into that open space and generate 2 points at the rim.